Have in session Tori Amos. Hello, Tori Amos.
Hello, Jeff.
It's an absolute pleasure to have you here. And you are kind of semi-British now.
Wow. I mean, I'm married to a very British husband. A very difficult and grumpy sometimes, but gorgeous.
Do you see that as a British characteristic?
No. I see that as my husband's characteristic, but he's very funny. He was born in London. His parents ran a pub. They're publicans in Shaftesbury Avenue. But then they moved up to just outside of Grimsby.
Right.
So he grew up there.
And have you spent time up there?
Not a lot of time. No, I haven't. I mean, I've seen it and I've been there and I got to meet everybody. But I've spent a lot of time in Cornwall. That's where he used to go with his parents as a child.
It's a beautiful part of the world.
It is beautiful.
And you recorded some of the album in Cornwall.
Yes. Mark has a studio, my husband, there, and that's how our child can go to school. So we recorded the record there, yeah.
And have you acquainted yourself with pasties?
Yeah, no.
No?
No.
Of course, it's one of the great American cliches of Americans visiting the UK to moan about the food. But is there any British food that you've thought, actually, that gets a bad press?
Well,
the pickled onion?
No, yeah, gross. That's just so disgusting. I mean, there are things I have a difficult time with. But I must say, my husband's an amazing cook. And he gets fresh fish, and he's really good at it.
And is there any aspect of the culture, because in modern times, in a globalised world, we're all living in very similar ways, but from one culture to another, there are certain things which are just completely befuddling. Is there anything about the British culture or British society that you can't get your head around at all?
Well, I'll say the best thing about you first.
Okay.
I think the best thing about you all is when things are, I think, gloomy and difficult, you all rise to the challenge. Your humor kicks in.
Yeah, the gallows humor, the blitz spirit.
And you're at your best, I think, when that's happening. I think, don't take this wrong.
Okay.
But I think when people start to have success, or there is success, not me, I'm a guest here, but I've noticed sometimes that dealing with success, you all sometimes feel a little bit guilty.
Yeah, we don't like it.
If you get too successful, then you start to feel, oh no.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm getting successful.
If you see an American on a chat show, they're pleased about talking about their success. You see a British person on a chat show, they're embarrassed about it, and they want to deconstruct it in some way, or stick a knife in the back of it. And how are you at British accents? Can you do a Cornish accent?
I'm not very good. I can do my dog, Mummy. Sometimes she'll do that. I don't like that.
And we've always, I think, this country, from memory, I've been sort of racking my brains thinking when we first heard of you in the early 90s, we've always clasped you to our bosom somewhat. I think you're well received over here.
Well, that means a lot. I mean, that's always meant a lot to me. And I've tried to learn a bit your humor, and how, at first, I have to tell you, sometimes I couldn't understand what anybody was saying. I would say, could you, especially if you get in the Mancunian, the accent.
That's where I'm from, and you're doing very well.
I'm doing good now. I can tell the different accents now. It took me a while, though, to understand, and when somebody would say, oh, go have a word with yourself, it took me a minute to know what these sayings meant.
Which then would make you seem slightly otherworldly, because there's like a split second while you're processing whatever somebody last said to you.
Yes, I'm still processing.
Right, you're here because your 10th album is out. Abnormally Attracted to Sin. 10 albums. That is quite a body of work. Do you see it like that? Do you see it as a huge chunk of your life there in those 10 records?
It means I'm an old lady.
Is that what it means? You're looking well on it.
Well, thanks. I mean, I like being in my 40s. I think having your 10th album, I wanted to cover a lot of compositional styles. There have been different ones in my career. I was known as a singer-songwriter, and yet the composer in me has wanted to stretch over the last few records and write things that aren't necessarily centered around the piano, but around maybe synthesizers or even other instruments. I just needed to stretch.
But there's no... Do you feel any sense of pressure that people who buy your records think, oh, Tori, she's the girl with the piano, and then as an artist you think, well, I better keep playing the piano because people like it?
I think some artists do stick to what they know because that's the kind of composer they want to be. But for me, I grew up listening to all kinds of things. Abbey Road was one of my favorite records. And so as a female singer-songwriter, that direction and then Abbey Road are two very different directions. And yet all my life I've tried to say to myself, I want to expand and not always just write for the piano, but write things that other instruments can dig their teeth into.
Okay, well, you're gonna play a couple of songs live for us tonight, and
alone at the piano.
Yeah, what is that instrument you have there?
Yeah, stretching.
So, in session tonight, here is Tori Amos.
Fire to your plane.
The shock of my life. Just buckle up, girls, I'm stealing the night from them, steal the night. What they're down to, let's see, in cold daylight. I gotta get this right. I gotta get this right. 'Cause she's up and I am low, watching you, watching her play this game. Oh, she's bold, bold enough to set fire to your plane. Her fire to your plane. Pray to your chain. I put out the coal, but not to be saved. Called my devil in kin with her yellow Aston Martin. We gotta get this right. I gotta get this right. 'Cause she's up and I am low, watching him, watching her play this game. Oh, she's bold, bold enough to set fire to his plane. Her fire to your plane. She said, get in into the sat-nav to hell, or would it be purgatory? I gotta get this right. I gotta get this right. 'Cause she's up and I am low, watching you, watching her play this game. Oh, she's bold, bold enough to set fire to your plane. Her fire to your plane. Her fire, oh, bold enough, fire to your plane.
Tori, that sounded lovely.
Yay!
It's a wonderful. Thank you. What we would do, if you don't mind, is we'll send you off to sit on the sofa. Maybe you can play a little video game, and
okay.
Yeah, and then we'll have you back in 10 minutes or so, and you can do us another song.
Okay.
Great.
Is your dull working life now full of stock checks instead of rocking sound checks? Then you need to enter one last dream. Christian O'Connell